You know what time it is. It's 9 to 5 with Gavin and Mike. In this episode, we'll be talking about the power of presence and what happens when we give someone space to fully express themselves. But before we do that, drop the intro.
Konnichiwa. My name is Gavin Masamiya.
Nice to see ya.
I'm a mindset coach based out of West LA.
And I'm Mike Ahere.
You hear me?
I'm a transformational life coach from London.
These recordings are short, sharp, sweet snippets of insight for anybody hustling a 9 to 5.
That's right, you can tune into them on your way to work, on your lunch break, or on your way home after a long day's hustle.
And today, in a short video, we're going to be talking about the power of presence, of really being mindful. And Mike here is going to really share a story because something happened to him over the weekend.
Yeah, so I went to a coach training module called Presence, and it was absolutely amazing. The whole weekend felt like one massive mindful meditation. The facilitator was well versed in mindfulness, and it was about how we can create a space for our clients to give them the freedom to express themselves without feeling judged, feeling the empathy that we have for them in the moment, and really feeling understood. So we did a bunch of exercises which included just reflecting back what the client was telling us and not asking any questions, merely just reflecting. And there was this one particular exercise where we had to restrain ourselves from jumping in, interrupting, leading the conversation, and we were given two instructions. The first of which was begin the session by asking the client, what would you like to talk about? And then have them speak. And they would speak for as long as they wanted, up to 15 minutes, for as long as they wanted. And when they felt like they had come to a natural pause, and they would give a clear indication to myself, and I would then be allowed to ask, what more do you think about that? Or how else do you feel about that? Or what more would you like to say about that? And that was it. And so I did that for someone, and someone else did that for me. And I have to say, when that person did it for me, it felt like the first time in my entire life, in my entire 34 years on this planet, that I felt like someone had given me space to just express myself. Me and Gavin have talked about this idea of self-expression, like free expression. And that was really the first time I felt that someone gave me a space to just freely express myself without being judged, without being criticized, because I knew he wasn't going to come back with any sort of question or judgment. I just felt free. I let loose, man. I was telling him everything. I opened up, and it was just so nice. And I remember thinking, this is such a good exercise to try with a group of friends, family, in the community, to help people feel empowered to communicate, come out of their shell, and really just express themselves in a non-judgmental space. It was amazing.
Dude, that's so powerful, man. It actually reminds me, I'm a dog lover. So I've had dogs my whole life. And that whole phrase about a dog is a man's best friend, right? Like, I ask people, like, what do you love so much about dogs? Because I'm a dog lover too. And there's a thread. People say, well, they don't judge me no matter what. They're always going to love me, right? Because they can't like necessarily talk back and say things. And I also liken it to one of my favorite coaches. His name is Rich Litvin. He's one of the most powerful coaches that I ever seen coach live before. In his book, The Prosperous Coach, there's a chapter, it's called The Lamppost. And in The Lamppost, he created this hypothetical scenario just saying, imagine Bob. Bob gets off of work at his accounting job, and then he goes up to this lamppost. And for 20 minutes, he just starts to share his challenges, the things that he's going through, things that frustrate him, the things that actually went well in his life. It's a time for him to just be self-expressed to a lamppost. And he did it every Monday to Friday when he got off at 5 o'clock. Every day from Monday to Friday, every weekday. Would that make a difference in his life? And I would assert, like, fuck yes, it would, right? The lamppost is kind of like the dog in the sense that it's, well, you know that you're going to talk to this lamppost and it's not going to speak back. It's not going to judge you. It's pretty much this empty space, this entity here that you get to speak whatever you want. and creating that into a habit, that is so powerful. And it's something that my former coach calls the neutral observer, right? When we can actually just learn to be with people while and really just be present with them, paying attention to our breath, and really just hold a non-verbal space for people to feel safe, to open up, to share whatever it is that's on their mind. That is such a powerful practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the things that really reinforced, like you mentioned the term there, neutral observer, really reinforced this idea of allowing the client to just become the captain of their own ship, really empowering them to do that for themselves. And this is one of the distinctions between, say, coaching and a mentor, or coaching and a consultant, where a consultant and a mentor might be an expert in a particular field and they'll be very directive in their approach. A coach will instead allow the client to feel empowered for themselves to make their own decisions. And the coach just helps bring that out in the client by reflecting back what's been said and asking the client how that sits with them and what they think about that. And really that's to bring about a sense of self-awareness. And so it just really reinforced this idea of allowing the client to be as they are, holding the client in unconditional positive regard, and not thinking that we have all the answers and actually we're going to try and take the client here, or maybe I'll take the client here. And just being present, and wherever the client goes, we follow, and then we reflect back and just check in on how they feel about what they've said about themselves, and help them really just gain this heightened self-awareness. Because like we've learned in the 4 levels of learning, right? You've got the
visual,
so you've got the unconscious incompetent, then you've got the conscious incompetent, then the conscious competent, and then the unconscious competent. And so you can see there's this natural journey of consciousness, right? And so by helping a client become conscious about how they speak about themselves or how they view the world, then we can help them progress through this journey and really level up, and just allow them to do it for themselves, so that we can, and this idea of presence really reinforced this idea of just allowing the client to be the captain of their own ship. Was beautiful.
That is so very beautiful. And so basically, that came off at a perfect time. So for everybody that's watching, the invitation is to take time to actually 10 minutes with somebody that you do. It could be over the phone, it could be in person, and you can even set a timer like we just did right here, where you just start talking about whatever's on your mind, and for the other person to really just hold the space. And then just say, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
It's life-changing.
And then switch off, set the timer again for 5 minutes, and go about it, and then come back and let us know how your experience was. Write down any questions that you might have on the bottom. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful, terrific day, everybody.